Hello everyone, my name is John Storm. I'm a fire and EMS expert witness, and I want to take a few minutes today to kind of clear up some misunderstanding or misperception that some attorneys have regarding like jurisdictional limits. I get contacted quite a bit about somebody in a different area of the country, and their concern is because my history, my 30 years is based in Illinois and Arizona, that I couldn't opine on a case on the West Coast or on the East Coast. Basically, this is not true because essentially both fire and EMS are very uniform in their SOPs, protocols, whatever you want to refer them to, because of the standards everybody really follows. There's a few, we'll go through them real quick in a minute, but give you a couple of examples. So EMS wise, I get a lot of calls about EMS standard of care, transportation, things like that. But the biggest question is, can I opine on them? Well, the bottom line is EMS care, treatment, transportation is all kind of standard throughout the United States. Each paramedic and EMT in the United States works under some EMS system. An EMS system, individual to various areas, is run by a project medical director who usually is a doctor because they need a medical license, and that's who the EMTs and paramedics practice under. They are practicing under a doctor, their project medical director's license. So the protocols and SOPs for treatment of various illnesses or trauma are all essentially the same throughout the United States. You get treated for a heart attack the same in the Northwest as you do in the Southeast. There's a decision tree, we call it that, and SOPs and protocols don't vary very much from place to place. A system may have a different drug intervention, but it all follows the same order. Same goes for stroke, same goes for diabetic, same goes for any kind of traumatic injury. There's basically a standard protocol or SOP that everybody follows, and they're pretty uniform throughout the United States, nothing drastic. So the jurisdictional limit really has no association there. You know, moving into the fire side of things, you know, fire operations, which falls under like tactics and strategy, that there's a lot of standards and recommendations out there governed by NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, OSHA. FEMA has something that's more incident command, like NIMS and ICS, and their ISO, so Insurance Services Organization, that has to do with measuring the effectiveness of a fire department to put out various different occupancy type fires within their jurisdiction. And it's associated with insurance rates for the communities. You know, kind of dovetailing into fire operations is incident command. That falls under FEMA, you know, Homeland Security, which is the NIMS and ICS hierarchy, which is incident command, divided down into different divisions based on the size of your incident that you're managing. You know, it's very scalable. Incident command follows any kind of fire that fire departments respond to. It's just scalable from a simple shed fire to, you know, the wildland, you know, 80,000 acre ones. It's just a scalable model that they follow. So, and you know, I have background in that, so very proficient at that. You know, moving into 911, which, you know, I have a vast amount of experience in that as well. Most 911 dispatch centers all follow the same playbook. They follow SOPs, they follow protocols. Now EMD is very prevalent, so you know how they handle that. And then the new thing within the last probably 10 years is low acuity. So how does a 911 center triage a call, an incident for service? And if they feel it's a low acuity, some have third-party groups that handle that. Sometimes they have, they call it community paramedicine, so that gets kind of transferred to those people, which are low acuity, and they handle it in a non-emergency fashion. And last, the biggest one is, well, not the biggest one, but one I get a lot of calls on too, is fire cause and origin. That follows the playbook of NFPA 921, which is a great reference tool that all investigators follow in making their reports based on fire cause and origin. It's called the scientific method. There's 7 parts of that. So opining on that, people are worried about, again, well, because I'm not from Washington State or wherever, Missouri, that I couldn't opine on that. But that's not true, because again, if you understand what 921 has and the scientific method and all the requirements, it's more a quality assurance, quality improvement to ensure that a fire investigation into cause and origin was done, proficiently and according to 921, which makes it much more bulletproof in court. So, that's a quick summary of, kind of clarifying. Hopefully it clarified some things that jurisdictionally it doesn't matter. I'm always available. I've been getting more and more calls. I'd love to be able to help you. If you have any questions, or you have a case that you'd like me to take a look at, or retain me for, please give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me via contact form on my website, which is www.johnstormexpert.com, or you can give me a call at 847-309-9403. I look forward to helping you.